So I'm not sure if you noticed, but 2025 has started off crazy already with somebody driving a truck through New Orleans, killing a bunch of people and injuring more. Now on the screen, I have Donald Trump. Time it happened. This was January the 1st. And of course, because Republicans are Republicans and MAGA is MAGA, he had to say this. When I say that criminals coming in are far worse than the criminals we have in our country, that statement was constantly refuted by Democrats and the fake news media, but it turned out to be true. The crime rate in our country is at a level nobody has seen before. Crime is actually down. Our hearts are with all of the innocent victims and their loved ones, including the brave officers of the New Orleans Police Department. The Trump administration will fully support the city of New Orleans as they investigate and recover from this act of pure evil. Now, there's a problem with Donald Trump's statement, besides it being totally false, which we'll go into later. Mike Johnson went on Newsmax. Now, Mike Johnson is the Speaker of the House. And in 20 seconds, this is what he had to say about that.
People that radical racial extremism was our number one concern, when obviously terrorism always is, and especially when you have an open border. So there may not be a direct correlation with this, but it seems to us that these things, we're in an enhanced threat environment, and we have to be proactive at the local, state, and federal level.
So there you have Mike Johnson. Now, Mike Johnson is also a person that has talked about how this is due to the open borders by the Biden administration. Well, first of all, the borders are not open. Second of all, he just admitted that this has nothing to do with the border. So why are they even talking about the border? Because Republicans never miss an opportunity to spread falsehoods, mislead their voters, and spread massive amounts of misinformation. And because you have Newsmax, he's talking to Newsmax, which is basically a pro-Trump MAGA propaganda outlet, he receives no pushback. But it is not just Mike Johnson destroying MAGA's own argument with, under 20 seconds. You have Marjorie Taylor Greene, who also gets in on it. New Orleans terrorist attacker is said to have come across the border in Eagle Pass 2 days ago. Shut the border down. Absolutely false. There was a Twitter note at the very bottom. Then you have Fox News themselves, which did such a bad job reporting that PBS had to come out and make an article about it. How a Fox News report fueled false claims by Trump and others about the New Orleans suspect. But within hours of the attack, which killed 14 people and is being investigated as an act of terrorism, Donald Trump and all of his goons went to social media. And even Fox News says that Jabbar, the guy who did the drive-by attack, crossed the U.S.-Mexico border at the Eagle Pass crossing just 2 days ago. That's not true. And the guy isn't even an immigrant. He was born in the U.S. He served in the military. The truck that truck was a rental. And Fox News is also a propaganda outlet that only exists to feed the narrative that their audience wants to hear, which is misinformation a lot of the times. Now, let's talk about the idea of terrorism as a whole, because Mike Johnson talked about how there is this rampant amount of terrorism in the country. Most of the terrorism from extremism is right wing. Even when you have an uptick of far left, as they have it here for the CSIS, Center of Strategic International Studies, you have violent far left and you have the violent far right. Even when the violent far left upticks, as it did in 2021, it still doesn't even pass the violent far right, because violent far right ideologies are the most prevalent in the country. They commit most of the terrorism acts when it is tied down to the ideology. And Republicans keep getting away with this, whereas they have this victim narrative, whereas they're always under attack, and they love to say how they can't speak in the media because they're constantly being censored. Fox News is right now. Fox News is the biggest mainstream media network. You have Elon Musk, who owns and runs Twitter. You have billionaires funding projects online, such as the Daily Wire. You have Turning Point USA, which are interconnected within the Republican Party. They attend CPAC. They attend all these events. And then you have individual people like Tim Pool, who literally takes money from Russia. He literally took money from Russia, and yet he still is on stages at a Trump event, at a Trump campaign event. He did this just at the last election, 2024 election. He was doing it. And this is their game plan. They always pretend to be cry bullies. They're always cry bullying all the time. And we can't let them run that narrative.